Welcome to our session where we're going to talk about why silos are great for grain, but they're not really great for IT. I'm Kevin Sparenberg, and with me I have Cheryl. Hi, Cheryl. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Cheryl Nomanson, and I am a staff technical trainer. That means that I train people, and I train our partners and our customers, and I'm here to help Kevin with this session today. I've been in IT for longer than you'll get me to admit, but I've been a trainer for about over 15 years, and I did sysadmining before that.
Nice. And anyone who knows me knows that I've spent time in network and systems and, of course, monitoring and making sure all of your stuff continues to play nice together. Because at the end of the day in IT, you want to go home. And if stuff keeps breaking and you don't know it's breaking, then you're never going to get to go home. And that's kind of the impetus when we started talking about this. And we've discussed things like this, either exactly like this or some variation of it, a lot at SolarWinds user groups, where we kind of break down the silos. And because for a long time, in fact, we did it at SolarWinds. We had this great series of videos. It was like, blame the network, blame the system. Now you don't have to blame either. You remember those?
I do remember those.
Really funny. But ultimately, it becomes down to, it's not necessarily a network problem. It's not necessarily a systems problem. It's not a vert. It's not a storage. It's not a, it's an IT problem.
Yes.
And that's where we've gotten today.
It is. I mean, we both remember when we work with silos, and I just remember sysadmining, and it's like, you have the guys over here that do the databasing or the virtual or even the network side. And I'm like, you go do the voodoo you do, and I'll do my thing, and we're good.
Stir it up in a cauldron and
right.
Out. Yeah.
I won't walk into your area, you won't walk into mine, and we do really well. But you can't do that anymore because everything is so interdependent.
Yeah, and it's even more so then because years ago we used to talk about like the network infrastructure and everything was plugged into the network.
Yeah.
And then servers and switches and blah blah, and then you got virtualization. Well, that really took and abstracted another layer, and then there were applications that run within those that abstracted another layer, and now we've got the worlds of containers and Kubernetes, and there's even more abstraction. And you get to the point where it's not always going to be easy to figure out like this is the thing that's a problem.
Yes.
So you need to start by eliminating all the other stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a situation where when I train this to people, particularly people that don't have a lot of familiarity with the technology, it's more, does this create complications by adding, every time you add and layer, you add a complication in troubleshooting. Yeah, but the trade-off and the benefits are so much bigger that you go ahead and accept that, but you accept that, but you still have to be able to troubleshoot it and figure out what the problem is.
I think one of the more interesting things I've seen in IT probably in the last, I'm going to say 5 years, but it was growing about 10 years ago, was that people, IT professionals, were tasked not so much with keeping a system running. They were tasked with keeping a service operational and performing well. And that was, many years ago, that was like, make sure email loads cleanly. When you open Outlook, does it take 30 minutes to load? No, that was the thing. And we've gotten in that mindset where the service and therefore the end user's experience with it, whether it's internal or external, is so much more important than whether that switch is running a little hot on CPU. Right.
And your end user is also not going to be the best source of help and information for troubleshooting your problem, because you get the classic, the internet is down, right? Okay, the internet is not down, but there's a problem getting to it, right? So you have to have tools that can help you see the entire structure, because your user is not always going to be the best source, because they can only see what they see in front of them and they don't know what's behind it.
Yeah, and they shouldn't need to know. No. They're not IT pros. Right. I mean, that's everyone here's job. You're supposed to be there to provide these services. They should be able to contact you and say, hey, I'm having a problem with, we'll go back to that one, email. I'm having a problem with email. Cool, I got it in hand. I will look at everything.
Yeah.
The problem is in the siloed version, who's that go to first? Does it go to the network team for connectivity? Does it ping? Does it trace route? Does it this? Does it go to the applications team, people that own it? Does it go to an identity management team that cares about the permissions and the accounts? It's like, who does it go to? Well, it goes to all of IT. So you need something that can actually see all of that. And it's been an evolution. I mean, we started many years ago working with this particular suite of tools. And I think we even have a picture of one of the very first web interfaces we worked with. And it's a little dated. But this is what we learned. This is where we cut our teeth. And at that time it was, I was responsible for the network. So I cared about network.
And I was the servers.
So you cared about servers.
I spent many an hour freezing in a server room.
Yeah. But we can't operate that way.
No.
Our customers don't operate that way. IT professionals don't operate that way. We don't even operate that way internally. Everything is turned into, instead of a full, pure hierarchical kind of breakdown of organizations and roles, it's gotten a lot more matrixed, where these people are responsible for parts of a thing. And as long as all those parts work, great.
But sometimes to see whether or not those parts work, you have to see the forest for the trees.
Yes.
You have to see the whole structure to know what, if your part isn't working, to even know why, right? So you have to be able to see the whole thing to identify what is the cause of my problem, right? So I think that the IT landscape has evolved that way, from the modules to what we're now calling observability and such, and where you see everything. You have to come to a situation where you consider the entity first. What am I monitoring, and what are the things that I need to monitor it? Because the world is so much more holistic. Whereas I need to think about the entity, not try to go through the mind boggle of figuring out what product do I need to install to monitor it.
Yeah, and that's one of the big reasons that we went through a couple of years ago now and said, we've got to stop doing this the way we did. Because no one is in that silo. If you think you're in a silo, then your manager hasn't talked to you yet properly, because you are not. Even if you're a network engineer sitting in the basement, clacking away at a CLI, cool, great, enjoy it. But ultimately, you might be there on a call with a system or a server or even a web property. So you need to be there. So why not make sure everyone has the same visibility?
I think a lot of people are picking up on that now too, because I've seen a lot in my training sessions, either organized classes or just helping people in, open forum sessions, that when they're working with module-based installs, they get to the point where they're stretching what that module can do, because they're trying to troubleshoot a problem that goes outside one module and goes to the next. Yeah. So instead of having a situation where you have to stop and say, okay, now I got to go get this other module and I've got to install it, when you think about what am I monitoring and what do I need to monitor, then you can just kind of seamlessly move through the process and keep troubleshooting the same thing. So I think we're a reflection of our customers, but we've been seeing it more and more with our customers, recognizing that they have to see more than just what's in this one little space.
You need to be aware, number one, of your infrastructure, and number two, of how all these parts play together. And the only way to do that is with good tooling. That's
right. The user could be sitting there, with their application and trying to even just put a name in to pull up out of the database, and they're waiting, and they're going to call you and say, the application is slow.
Yeah.
Where the application could be perfectly fine. It's the database that has a problem. The application's literally waiting for the database, but the user doesn't know that.
No.
You have to know that.
Yeah, and even you, by looking at it from the outside, if you were to try to reproduce that, you're going to run into a similar thing where you don't know which part of this jigsaw puzzle is the piece that doesn't fit right now.
You're just throwing things against the wall, hoping they stick.
Yeah. People need to know what to point their attention at as quickly as possible, with a high degree of certainty that could be a problem.
Right. Nobody has time to chase squirrels.
No. What?
Right?
Yeah, sorry. So as a trainer, you have to run into a lot of people who come from kind of similar backgrounds, whether they're network or whether they are purely systems. And where do you kind of start them?
So on the network side, I'm going to go ahead and start them with the network information. Right?
Okay.
So what we're looking at here then is going to be a display of just NPM. And what we're looking at with this node is really, really good information. I mean, you've got the node information, you've got any alerts that are on it, you have, utilization by interface in my very quiet environment, CPU information, so hardware as well, alerts and availability. So this is really good information. If you're like, okay, I'm going to take this snapshot and say, what does my node look at right now?
Yeah. So if I care literally only about this Nexus 5000, that's my only job, to care and feeding of this Nexus 5000. This is everything.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much what I have here in terms of the health and performance of the device. But what if there's still something going on and you're not seeing any information here? Like maybe your interface bandwidth utilization is high. Well, I'm looking at SNMP information. It tells me maybe it's 95%. Okay.
That's fine.
Great.
It's less than 100.
It's less than 100, but it's greater than 50, right? Yeah. And it could be causing problems. But what actually is doing that?
Yeah.
And so what I have to go with this then is hybrid cloud observability. Now, this is exactly the same node being monitored
the same way.
in exactly the same way with hybrid cloud observability. as opposed to just Network Performance Monitor. So we have the same information. We have alerting information interface, but we also have port details.
Okay.
Some information about port. And down here we have applications that are passing through the interfaces on this particular node, including the different traffic types. We have applications, and we even have conversations. We still have percent by utilization by interface, but now I can look at this and say, this is my maybe 85% interface. What's the application traffic?
What is actually happening?
Yeah, what is inside that number? I have 85%. What makes up that 85%? Now I know where to go. Is it a chatty SQL server? Is it somebody streaming something they shouldn't be? Is it whatever?
Our backups running in the middle of the day like they shouldn't.
Right,
Yeah, I mean, there's any number of things here.
That's exactly right. So now I have more information, and all I did is just the basic network discovery process with a few configurations for the flow data.
Yeah.
And I have the same information that I had, or the same process that I had for monitoring with NPM.
Yeah. So you get the basics, and then you get a little more, and a little more, and a little more, and a little more as you add these additional feature set. The thing is, in hybrid cloud observability, you don't need to add each feature set. You get all of them. So you have all of this information. The minute you put in a Nexus 5K, the minute you put in a 2621 router, or when you put in a Juniper switch, all this information will come through. The only caveat here is, do you know how to connect to it? And maybe you need to configure NetFlow, which is relatively easy at the end of the day.
Right. And do you have the right permissions?
Yeah.
Which is always, always the conversation.
I'm sure you talk about that a lot.
Well, it is. You've also got some additional left-hand navigation views as well that just populate with information. Anybody that's used modules knows that different modules bring those in. But the point is that when you're troubleshooting a process and you kind of hit that point where you would cross from one module to the next, that line is gone. You can just keep going right through your troubleshooting process without saying, okay, I got to stop, I got to install this, I got to do a discovery, I got to add the node. Now I can troubleshoot an hour later.
Or the worst case scenario, which I saw many years ago, is where you would get on that particular device on the CLI, and then you'd give it a command and you'd hit enter, and it would give you point in time information. And then you say, well, nothing's wrong right now. So you hit up, enter, and you get now point in time, up, enter. And you just keep doing that over and over again. And is that effective troubleshooting? Yes. Is it good troubleshooting? No.
It's time consuming.
Yeah, there are tools to do this. And that's why we built the solutions like Hybrid Cloud Observability, where you can take all those tools, combine them together, and give you an everything view as much as you want. Because you don't have to turn everything on.
No.
If you and your team are legitimately only concerned about network, just turn on the network things. Don't worry about the server stuff.
But the beauty to that is that if, as you go down the line, find me a network admin that no more responsibility has ever come their direction, right?
Just
or
DNS servers. Just DNS servers and IP
or
addressing.
A systems admin that becomes the accidental DBA.
Yep.
Right? So the thing about it is, if you're installed with Hybrid Cloud Observability and some of that additional responsibility comes down the line to you, you just start using that within what you already have installed.
Yeah. Just be like, okay,
turn it on.
Well, let's go ahead and put the creds in and have it do a scan.
Exactly.
And you're done. And then all the information comes into the same way. And the other thing that we don't talk about, I think, enough about the way our solution works is we normalize all the data.
Yes.
Because some vendors, and not pointing fingers, but some vendors, provide information in like megabits. Other ones will do it in megabytes. Some will do it in kilobits. Oh, and by the way, the mega, is that in 1024 or in 1000? And we've done all that homework.
Yes.
So that we get the information in, it literally is apples to apples. So you're not, comparing apples to fire hydrants.
And not only is it apples to apples, but we also do what I coin when I'm training people. We take that data and we do cool stuff with it. We visualize it.
Yeah.
We give it to you in a format where you can see through colors and through diagrams and through scaling things exactly what's going on. You can see the forest for the trees. I mean, the flow data is a really good example of that.
Yeah.
Instead of just having raw tables of very, very chatty data coming at you.
Yeah.
Now we've got it broken out by applications into a visual that gives you color-coded who is who.
Yeah.
So now you can see the big color chunk is my big traffic.
Yep. And the other thing I like about this solution is it's near infinitely customizable. If the data is in the system somewhere, anywhere, you can build a graph for it.
Yes.
If it's in the system somewhere, anywhere, you can build a report. You can build an alert. You can do all of those things. It's just a matter of maybe this view doesn't work for you and you need something 15 degrees off of it. That's fine. Customize it. The whole idea behind this, the superpower of this platform, is that it's not locked like this. You get to make it your own.
Well, you can't lock it because everybody manages their network in different ways. And they're going to want it in a certain way.
Mm-hmm. But if we take that and kind of flip the script, because network is incredibly important, I now know what data is flowing through stuff. I can capture configs. I can do all that kind of networky centric stuff. Mm-hmm. But end users don't typically talk directly to network gear.
Right.
They talk to an application server of some kind, whether that is internal, external, it's just a website and this database. They don't know that. And that's not the problem. The problem is slow is bad. And slow is harder to troubleshoot.
Yes.
Because down is easy.
Yeah.
It doesn't ping. I can't make an SNMP call. I'm not getting WMI. I can't do whatever. That's easy. Slow is tough. And we built tools to help with that. And the one that always comes to mind is AppStack.
Right.
That does all this stitching for it. So what I brought up here is one part of a server farm. Someone called in and said, hey, I've got a problem with accessing SharePoint. Mm-hmm. And you're like, okay, fine. I know that's got a DNS name and behind that is a server farm. And you're like, cool. This was the only server that showed a problem. So yeah, that's the thing. Why? Okay, it could be any number of things. If I'm troubleshooting this from the outside and I've got no idea what I'm working at, are all the services running? Mm-hmm. Is IIS operational? Did I run out of disk space? What's the IOPS on the backend storage look like? Is it connected to the database cleanly? These are all the troubleshooting steps that I would, without tooling, have to go through to locate, isolate, and fix a problem.
Right.
AppStack cuts through all that.
It does.
Yeah.
And it comes back to doing cool stuff with the data and visualizing it for you. So you can very quickly say, oh, there's a possible problem, right?
And it'll identify all that stuff for us. I think the thing I like the most about it, I always get the question, how does it know where blank is?
Yeah.
So I always think I start at the virtualization layer because most people running virtual, whether you're cloud-based virtualization or on-prem virtualization, I start there because then I can go down to storage and I can go up to apps. And but where does this data actually come from?
Well, that's the interesting thing about it. And one of the nicest things about AppStack is that you don't have to map this stuff manually.
Yeah.
If you half the time you don't know where most of it is coming from, to be honest. So if you could map the whole thing manually, you wouldn't need AppStack in the first place, right? So it does all of this automatically, typically through discovery or adding the nodes. It figures that out. So if you start at the very top, you have the groups. There's a mouse somewhere. Oh, there it is. You have the groups right at top. And of course, those are the platform groups.
Yeah. Part of the hybrid cloud observability.
The hybrid cloud
you've built either manually or have dynamic queries that are building. That's stuff you've defined.
Right. So that's going to be something that you have defined, but it's nice to put them in here because these are typically organizational groups of your server farm or servers within them or how they're put together. Then you're going to have applications coming in from application and server monitoring. And that's going to be coming through in things like WMI or
performance counter monitors, SNMP calls, and stuff like that. Yeah,
exactly. So we have database instances. That's coming from actually the DPA product that integrates into hybrid cloud observability,
which does the deep dive into the DMVs, and custom stuff inside the actual SQL servers to highlight problems.
Exactly. Of course, transactions is going to be anything coming from web performance monitoring, where you're just monitoring users and web transactions, right? Servers. Application and server monitoring again. Then you got the hosts and you got virtual clusters, virtual data centers. All of this is going to be coming in from communication with the hypervisor in the
Nutanix.
Nutanix,
VMware, Hyper-V, other ones that speak on those same types of protocols, and mostly through the API.
Right, exactly. And so that's going to be your virtualization there. And that's going to go all the way down to the data stores, actually. Yeah. But from there, the interesting thing is, okay, that's my data store, but what's behind that, right?
Yeah, because in a lot of ways, at least from, and I knew this from doing administration, from the data center, the data host, I don't even remember the name they used in each product. They do it slightly differently. It's like, but whenever you connect that back to a LUN, you don't know how that LUN's built, what is happening on that one. And realistically, you shouldn't have to care until there's a problem.
Yeah. And you can literally have an application at the top that is slow because you have a IOP problem in the LUN.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all the way down to there. And so data stores then are going to be read from the hypervisor though. And then from there, you can get volumes, which is just normal server volumes. But now you get down to the LUNs, the pools, the arrays.
The arrays themselves.
Now you're down into either your SAN or your NAS. and you can see where the problem is. And it is very feasible to have a problem in a LUN that can cause all kinds of problems.
It's a chain reaction.
All the way up to the top.
Yeah, if you have two blown discs in a type of RAID array and it's busy rebuilding, all of a sudden that IOPS go through the floor.
Well, and even if you just have too many high-performing LUNs in a single pool and you've got performance issues, I mean, that comes too.
Yep. Nice part about that is it'll actually break apart if you built them correctly. What's a flashback array, which is what versus what's a spinning disk. So you'll know very quickly, oh, I probably shouldn't have put that on a RAID 5. I can do that on a RAID 10 on flash and mwah,
yeah, perfect.
Beautiful.
Yep, that's exactly right.
But we don't ask people to build this.
No.
Because
I wouldn't want to.
No, because there's unique identifiers in every layer of this. You know, LUNs have LUN IDs, and those are associated with the data store connection that's from the hypervisor, and it has a LUN ID in there, and we do that matching.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that. It's honestly like a humongous, very poorly thought out in my part, bad analogy, I apologize, a bunch of SQL joins. We're basically saying, bring all these things together, and the unique characteristic for this particular one is this server. The one that we highlight, because this is the AppStack view for this server.
I see, yep.
But it's not only this server, because there's two servers adjacent to it that actually are part of that transaction, part of the actual workload. And realistically, I'm thinking the one with the red's probably got the problem.
Well, red is always bad.
Typically bad, yeah. So even if we've accomplished nothing else, we have totally ruled out this is definitely not a database problem.
Yep.
We expected the transactions to be bad because people are calling and saying it's slow. The virtual hosts look okay. The clusters could be doing a little better, but let's see. Is there anything catastrophic here? No, nothing horrendous. I mean, this is normal day-to-day kind of stuff. And then most of the storage looks fine, except for this one volume that could be better.
But probably not. If you're having real significant performance issues, could it be? Well, maybe.
Yeah.
But there's larger rocks to look at, I think.
Yeah, and I think the biggest one for me is whether it is Microsoft's SQL Server or whether it's Postgres or, honestly, I could list them all out, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This here is immediately ruling that out.
Right.
This says, without a doubt, don't spend time bothering your DBAs. That is not the problem.
Right.
So we have taken this from a complete holistic view, and even if we don't know this thing right here is what I need to fix right now, we have cut out huge swaths of where I'm not going to burn time, because I'm sure you have tried to troubleshoot something and 3 hours later, it wasn't even close to being the actual root cause.
Oh, many times.
This is that kind of lens. This says, don't bother. It's not necessary. Let's just go here.
You're taking a needle in a haystack of needles and you're putting it in a bit smaller of a haystack of needles, right? Because we've all done this, and I think sometimes we won't admit it, but you're like, I'm not sure, so I'm just going to start troubleshooting this, and I'm going to start. It's like throwing something.
It was that thing last time, so it'll be.
It's going to be this thing this time. Yeah, never.
never trust history in that way.
Well, and also too, having been an admin, I'm sure you'll agree with this as well. There is no such thing as coincidence.
Very rarely.
So if this thing has a problem and this thing has a problem, and the two things are related to each other, there is no coinkydink here, right? There's something going on.
Yeah. And that's where you spend your time investigating.
Exactly.
So that is a service. People are saying they can't get to SharePoint. It's slow. Where am I spending my time? I'm looking at these three servers. Two of them definitely have some type of issue. Not catastrophic. It's just in a warning state. But the other one's got big deal. So at most, you're looking at three servers you got to troubleshoot.
Right.
Which is better than troubleshooting the load balancer, and then the web front end, and then the individual servers, and the middle tier, and the database servers, and
all the way down.
This is where we start.
Yeah. So, I mean, imagine trying to do this with separate tools. And if we go back to the siloed environment, everybody had their own little tool that was their thing.
Yeah.
And they are going to use that. And that's all they're going to use. And that doesn't talk to this, and this doesn't talk to this, and nobody reports the data in the same format.
And then you're trying to stitch basically a view like this together.
Cobble it all together.
From various pieces that take things in different time slices, like you just mentioned, different units. And you're not going to be able to get this kind of view.
No.
And that's what you need to fix the problem.
If you're lucky, you'll get it in a spreadsheet. And then you still don't have any kind of visualization about what's going on.
Yeah. You're not going to have your highs, your lows. You're not going to see any trends. You're not going to see how this particular metric dropping way low seems to coincide with this one going way high.
Oh, imagine that.
Shocking sometimes.
Coincidence.
Yeah. CPU related to disk? Not even a little bit.
No.
Yeah. But that kind of does segue nice because this is great. This is kind of a snapshot. This is exactly what this thing is dealing with. These are all of its play friends. And where do we go from here? Well, maybe we had this thing yesterday. Maybe we had this problem 2 days ago. Maybe it went away. Because it does happen. We talk about coincidences. Sometimes problems disappear. We used to call them resolved by deity in our cases when we had tickets.
We just said somebody went in there and shook a voodoo doll over the server and it fixed.
Hey, whatever.
Sacrifice ram to the ram gods.
Sounds like you work with databases. But it might be beneficial to see this information in a different way. And I like this, but I always think this is 2D. And then if I want to think 3D, like over a time scale, because this is now or relatively recently. But if I want to see where this is going, maybe this was something we could have prevented because we saw these things ticking up.
Yes.
For that, we have another tool we put in here, performance analysis, which we affectionately internally call PerfStack. And it is by and far my favorite thing that we have done probably in the past several years. And it really leverages that I'm not stuck in my silo.
Yes.
I can bring in anything to a view because it'll probably make a difference.
Well, and not only that, but this gives a lot of really good information and you can troubleshoot a lot of problems with it.
Yeah, this is now. Yeah.
But sometimes you need other data. And I've had a lot of customers I've worked with over the years. Well, can I add this to it? Can I add this to it? You can't add anything to this. But what you need essentially is a virtual whiteboard where you can just throw anything in it that you want.
And one that you can share.
Yeah.
So if we start, we know there's a problem sourced somewhere with this Azure server. So building a completely empty performance analysis, we can use that as our root. So we'll go ahead and add that.
So I love this tool because all of us have been in a situation where you're like, okay, we don't really know what's going on, or we have an idea what's going on, but I need to take this person, this person, this person, and let's throw them in a room with a whiteboard and say, just start spitballing it, right? And we've all done it. And this tool is kind of the hybrid cloud observability way of doing that. And it's a tool that's collaborative and then you can also share. You can put your pieces in and say, I saw this, and you pass it to the next person and they open it up and they add their pieces. So it's a very collaborative tool in that regard.
Yeah, and I like it because not only can you do that, if you find something you run into frequently, then you can save it, put it onto a dashboard, keep it there basically in perpetuity.
Okay.
So if we just start here, and I'm just going to pull in the absolute dumbest metrics, CPU and average percent memory. We know that this is probably not the problem on this, but this is always a good baseline. So yeah, not super interesting. I mean, we have a spike in CPU, but it's normal. CPU. That's what computers are supposed to do.
That's CPU.
Yeah. So, but the thing about this that I love so much is that it has that relationship knowledge built in. So if I go all the way back over yonder, this is our node. I want to say, show me everything that's related. One click. I remember doing this not just in the SolarWinds tool, but doing it in VMware's tool and doing it in EMC's tool and all these tools. And you're constantly right click, open a new window. Or in those ways, it was new window, not new tab.
Right.
And you would just do it over and over again until you had 100 small graphs that weren't on the same time scale. And you're trying to figure out where the blips were.
Yes.
And this just gets rid of all of that. I mean, look at the amount of things that we know that are part of this particular server.
Well, and that's a really good example too of hybrid cloud observability because again, you're pulling in all of these metrics that you may not have thought, oh, I didn't even think about that, but that could actually be something that I need to look at.
Yeah, I mean, I completely forgot that Active Directory is a critical part of this. I know it is. In my head, my logical brain knows, yeah, that's how you log in. But I forgot when I was troubleshooting.
Yeah.
In the heat of the moment, it was gone.
Yeah.
But it's all here for me to work with. And the stuff I like is you can bring in relatively important information. Like you can bring in other nodes, which is fine. But I almost always start diving down into the kind of application layers.
Yeah.
And I'm actually kind of a jerk because I almost always go down to databases, again, to rule things out and say, is this a database problem? I mean, it's not great. So there were some spikes. They don't seem to be happening right now because obviously right now it's on the right-hand side, but it's still not great.
It isn't. And here's the interesting thing too, is as you bring more metrics in, are those spikes correlating with other spikes?
Exactly. So then I'm thinking, okay, well, this is a Windows service running in Windows Web. So that's IIS. But man, look at all the metrics. Now I can take this and drag it right over here and get everything. So we'll look at status and alerts. So let's see if anything is triggering an alert. Wow. Okay, so there are many problems here. This is obviously telling us we've got alerts coming from IIS. We've got HTTP binding and alert me when an application goes down. Okay, so these are basically just 3 slightly different flavors of the same kind of alert. Because this is our public demo, we have all of these alerts turned on because we want everyone to be able to see what they look like. But
the correlation is interesting though too.
Yeah, I'm noticing that. It's especially with the SQL wait times.
That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah. So these are things you don't get even in the app stack view. Because right now, in this right-hand rail, that SQL server is running with virtually no wait time. But what was causing it? And I think I like stuff in this area because let's say we did find some type of correlation. We can backtrack that, highlight the section, and this little data explorer thing pops up. And for the longest time when this feature was released, I didn't even know that tab existed. Because I was so busy just adding stuff and finding all the relationships and find the things that connect to this and find the ones that connect to that. And I was just overwhelmed that we could bring the information in. But being able to actually see this information and say, oh, this is what's happening in this time slice.
Especially when you get things like alerts, but what my brain goes to just having my experience is any kind of configuration change.
Yeah, if we're talking the network side and also
or
the
even
server
the
side.
server.
Yeah, I mean, someone may have gone in and mucked around in the config.web and then all of a sudden it's gone. Or
But-
sorry, the web.config.
To put that right in here, I mean, sure, we're looking at pulled metrics. Now all of a sudden you're seeing a config file change. I mean, to
Literally a
correlate
file
all of that.
delta.
Yeah. To correlate all that in a single view is pretty impressive, actually.
So whatever slice you grab, alerts, the request wait time, the CPU, memory, all of that stuff basically just populates over here. So you kind of get a detail for this particular spot. And of course, we can change the entire time frame if we want to look at the last 24 hours, we want to look at the last 7 days. I like 7 days because it gives me like, if there's a weekend involved, which there will be, then I know what's happening on the weekend, what's not happening on the weekend, or whatever your non-busy days are. But every time I come here, I like this one. Grab a chunk, the wait times. Because this is one of the things that is amazing to me that we can pull this information in. And specifically, on the left-hand side here, we've got instance wait times. So this particular query, and they're just numerical, that's how SQL does it under the hood. One wait time of 1,522 seconds. I'm not mathing that. That's a long time.
That is
And
a long time.
It's basically responsible for over 30% of all the waiting on this. But the beauty for me is, oh, hey,
That's what you're doing.
this is the thing that's causing that thing.
Wow.
And it's like, can it be fixed? Maybe. If it's a vendor thing, maybe not. SharePoint may not be the ideal example for this because some of the stuff is locked by the vendor, but maybe there's an index you can put behind it to speed it up. Maybe you can shift stuff to other, disks or workflows. But this tells me this is the problem. This is what things are waiting on. And for me, that's invaluable information, number one, as the person troubleshooting, and number two, as the administrator who keeps it operational when it's healthy.
Yes. And you can view that query history as well. I noticed that as well.
Yep. You can go even deeper on just this particular query by jumping over into the database analysis. But the beauty of this is I've got all this information. And let's say it wasn't an alert that was obvious for the system, but you need to say, I need the storage team to take a look at this. Well, of course, you being the consummate IT pro you are, can start adding all the storage stuff and know how these things connect. But maybe they want to do their part. Literally, there's a share button for this purpose. So you can click it, share it, ship that in your corporate instant messaging, send it via email, be like, hey, here's my current analysis tool. Go ahead and add the other metrics you think are necessary.
Or even if there was like a config change, you can go to say, hey, highlight that piece, send them that, say, can you tell me what this config change was? And could it have caused X, Y, or Z? And you can see X, Y, or Z in the graph. And the person who understands the config change, hopefully, before they made it, can say yes or no to that. So it is we want to be ruled out of being the source of the problem as, probably more than we want to be ruled in as the source of the problem. So if you're able to rule yourself out and say, no, this is what we did and has no effect on that, then they're ruled out and for sure as well. Now you can move on to the next thing. And interestingly enough, we cover a lot of this in our training. We have a lot of support and onboarding documentation, and then we do a lot of training classes and we do open forums for people to answer questions.
Okay, so where can people find you online?
So you can find me on Thwack in the Academy forum.
Okay.
I write news blogs for that. I spend a lot of my time on Thwack itself answering questions in the forum itself. I'm Cheryl One. I know it's a very inventive name.
I think we can find you.
You can find me. We also have classes available and content available on the customer portal. So we have instructor-led courses, we have on-demand courses. And then if you just can't find a time or you just have a couple of questions that you just want to ask about configuring something, you can attend any of our instructors' open office hours. And we do those globally. So we have compatible time zones in APAC, EMEA, and North America.
So it doesn't matter where you are.
Doesn't matter where you are.
You can sit in one of the
You don't have to sit in a 3 a.m. office hours session. We'll find you somebody in your time.
Unless you really want it to.
Unless you want to.
So they can find you on the Academy. There's plenty of documentation there. Again, if you're on Thwack, you can find me at kmsigma.swi. I do a little bit of everything there. So I want to thank you for being part of our session. And Cheryl, thank you for being here for the recording.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was quite a bit of fun. I enjoyed it.